Hey, friends, welcome to the Less Stress, More Joy podcast with Amy Leneker. It's me, Amy, and I am so glad that you're here. If you have ever woken up on a Monday morning already exhausted or spent Sunday night bracing yourself for the week ahead, the problem isn't you. The problem is work. And more specifically, the problem is work stress. We have been sold a lie, an exhausting, soul sucking lie that stress is the price of success. But it's not. It's the thief that steals it. And we are going to talk about how to do things differently, how to lead and live with less stress and more joy, and zero toxic positivity. That's the joyful rebellion. So settle in, take a deep breath, and let's get started. Today, we are going to be talking about what I call the right questions. And I will drop a link so you can download the right question framework, because the whole point of the right questions is to help you act on the next right thing. When you decide that there is a stressor that is important to you and you have control over it, then it's about taking action. How do you know, though, what is the next right thing? How do we even know what that is? So, here are some questions that I use when I'm working with leaders and teams, and I use them myself. There was a moment, one in particular, where I didn't use these questions. And I am not exaggerating when I say that it is one of the most painful regrets that I have as a leader, as a mom, as a human. So here's what happened. Less than 48 hours after I got home from the hospital from having our beautiful daughter, I got a call from work. And it was a request that my team could have easily handled. My team was brilliant and talented, and they were absolutely able to handle the question that had come my way. This was 16 years ago, and I know that because my daughter just got her driver's license. So, the 16-year ago version of me, the people pleasing, insecure, not sure of herself, not feeling as though I was able to really take time off, that version of me said, sure, I would be happy to. And that one request, that one yes, where I said yes to work, turned into many, many more. And I essentially worked the majority of my maternity leave. And I regret it with every core of my being. I regret it because that is time that I can't get back. I can't say, well, I know better now. I can do better now. Let me have my maternity leave over. Life doesn't work that way. I can't do it over, but what I can do is I can share this story so hopefully other people don't make the same mistake that I made. When I think about the right questions, the first one, the R, is about reframing. And it's about reframing a stressor from a threat to a challenge. And when I got that phone call after being home for less than 2 days, and mind you, anyone out there who has ever had a baby or been around a baby knows that, oh my gosh, at the 48-hour mark, I didn't even know what day it was. I mean, I think we had car keys in the freezer. I mean, it was an all hands on deck time at the Leneker house. And when I got that call from work, it did feel like a threat in my brain. And the threat went something like this. What if I say no? What if they realize that they don't need me in this role? What if they don't give me my job back? All of these fear-based insecurities that led me to say, yes, I would be happy to. So the R, the reframe, is we've got to reframe that. We've got to take it out of the threat mode and move it into a challenge. If I had approached it as a challenge, if I had just given myself 30 seconds or maybe even 15 seconds to catch my breath, then I could have said, oh, the team's ready for this. Go ahead, reach out. They've got you. But I didn't. So that's the first step. The R is we've got to reframe it from a threat to a challenge. The I is we have to identify our role. And in that example that I gave, my role was clear. My role was that I was out of the office. I was on maternity leave. I was essentially unreachable. The only time you should reach out to someone on maternity leave is if you're checking in on what time you're going to drop off dinner. You can call about dinner and you can call about baby pictures. You cannot call about anything else. So if I had paused to think about, well, what is my role right now? That also would have allowed me to make a much different decision. When you're thinking about what is the next right thing for a stressor that you have, we have to identify what is your role. The G is to ground ourselves in values. It is really easy to live into our values when everything's going well. When you're having one of those days where it just feels like the wind is at your back and everything is going your way, it's pretty easy to live into our values. The real test is, can we live into our values when life is hard? Can we live into our values when life is tough, when we're not sure what the right thing to do is? That's about being grounded. And not to belabor the example that I shared at the beginning of this, but if I had done even just this step, if I had even just taken 5 seconds to say, all right, Leneker, let's take a moment, let's ground yourself in your values, there's no question that the outcome would have been different. So the G, we've got to ground ourselves in our values. The H is holding ourselves accountable. We have got to hold ourselves accountable for what we said we would do and for how we said we would do it. I had spent 9 months literally preparing my team for me to be out on maternity leave. They were a brilliant team. They were absolutely ready for me to be gone. I needed to hold myself accountable to what I had agreed to, that while I was gone, I was going to be unreachable. The team was in charge. And then the T is we've got to take the next aligned action, whatever that is. When things are stressful, we can overreact, we can move too quickly, we can have an action bias where we just want to do something, anything, or we can go too far the other direction where now we're overthinking. We're in analysis paralysis. We feel stuck because we're not sure what to do. And sometimes we end up doing nothing, which is in fact doing something. So the T in the right questions is, are we taking the next aligned action? You might be thinking, okay, in a stressful time, am I really going to have time to ask myself all 5 of these questions? Maybe, and maybe not. Even if you can ask yourself one of them or 2 of them, you are going to be closer to acting on the next right thing. And let's be clear, the time that I would have spent pausing and getting clear on the next right thing would have saved me hours and hours of time that I spent working as a result of saying yes when I should have said no. When we don't ask the right questions, it has a negative impact on us and it has a negative impact on the people around us. So let's look at what was the negative impact for me. When I said yes, when I should have said no, when I worked my way through maternity leave, there is no question that it had a negative impact on me. It had a negative impact on my family. I cannot get that time back. I live with this regret that, frankly, I am probably going to be, I say probably, but I know the answer is more definitive than that. It is a regret that I will carry with me my entire life. And Daniel Pink has a beautifully written book called Regret, where he writes that regret is how you know what's important to you. So, not to shy away from it, not to pretend like we don't have regret, but to use that regret as a lens, as an opportunity to say, this is really important to me, so that we don't continue to have the same regrets moving forward. So again, no question it impacted me. No question it impacted my family, but it also impacted work too. When I think about the impact on my team, there there is no doubt that they felt not trusted. I had spent 9 months telling them they were ready for me to be out, and the first second I got a phone call, I took it. Instead of sending that back to the team, instead of giving them that opportunity to shine, instead of saying, I believe in you, you've got this, take it and run with it. I support you 100%. I'm also incredibly, what's the right word? I want to say disappointed, but it feels stronger. Frustrated. I don't know. I'd have to really think about what is the right emotion to describe it. But I feel horrible about the message that I sent to the rest of that organization. When I think about the message I sent to young men and young women who were thinking about starting a family, the message I sent was, if you want to be on the executive team, it means that work is going to come first. No matter what I said, no matter what my out of office said, my action said to be a member of this executive team means you're going to get a phone call after you're home from the hospital and you're going to work. And I regret that so much. I had an opportunity to really model a different way of leading, a different way of living, and I didn't. And I wish I could do it over, because this me, this 50-year-old me, I would say no. And not only would I say no, I would probably say, hell no. And you shouldn't be calling me because we cannot talk about this story unless we also look at the power dynamics. When I got that phone call, there was a power dynamic at play. And so, do I regret saying yes? Absolutely. And the organization should have never put me in the position to have to say no. That's the other piece of this. We own our own actions, we own the role that we play. And we've got to look at the bigger systems at work. Are we asking people to do things that are in alignment with what we say we value? Are we honoring when people are out of the office? Are we honoring when people are out on leave? So that's what I wanted to give you today. The right questions. When you find yourself in a situation where you've got a stressor that is important to you, you do have control over it. It's quadrant 2. So those of you who have read Cheers to Monday or know all about the unstressing matrix, you know that quadrant 2 is the quadrant of action. This is where we've got to act on the next right thing. And my hope is that using those questions can help you get there. If anyone is listening today and this story related to you, if you have got a similar regret, a choice you made at work that you wish you could have done differently, I'm going to encourage you to take Daniel Pink's advice, not to run away from that regret, not to minimize that regret, but to use it as a lens into what is really important to me so that I can make a different choice the next time. So that when I look back on this season of my life, I'm not going to have that same regret. And I am proud to say that that is the case for me. Do I get it right every time because of work? Yes, of course. I think any working parent out there knows that pull of not being able to be everywhere all of the time. But do I get it right most of the time? Yes. Yes, I do. All right. Thank you so much for listening. So if you love this episode, I hope that you hit follow, share it with a friend, or leave a quick review, because that's how other people are going to find their way here, where there's less stress and more joy. You can also pre-order my new book, Cheers to Monday, the surprisingly simple strategy to lead and live with less stress and more joy, everywhere books are sold. If anything today sparked something for you, if you saw yourself in something I said, if you've got a question about something I've said, shoot me an email, amy@amyleneker.com. I read every single message. I would love to hear what you have to say. And I can't wait to see you next week. Less stress, more joy, zero toxic positivity. That's the Joyful Rebellion.